Hello, I am Jackie Miller, high conflict divorce coach and consultant, and host of this podcast, Out of Crazy Town, your guide to divorcing a narcissist. I am thrilled to have today's guest, Dr. Sherry Martin, on the show. Sherry is a licensed clinical psychologist in the Los Angeles area who treats victims of narcissistic abuse. Sherry has a unique background, having spent 16 years in family law and mediation, giving her a deep understanding of the challenges faced when divorcing a high conflict personality. Sherry discusses the aspects of being in a relationship with a narcissist and the damaging effects, and the way that she helps her patients heal from this abuse. Hello, Sherry Martin. Thank you so much for joining me on my podcast, and I'm so happy to have you here today.
Thank you very much. Hi, Jackie. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Good to see you too. I'm so happy to have you on Out of Crazy Town, your guide to divorcing a narcissist, because you are a clinical psychologist, but you have a unique background. And so I want to introduce folks to you and give them a little bit of info first.
Great.
Before we dive in. You received your doctorate degree in clinical psychology from Pacifica Graduate Institute in Carpinteria, California. So not only are you PhD, you're a clinical psychologist, and you practice in sort of the Santa Monica and the Valley area for us Californians, if you know what that is. But you've worked for over 5 years at 2 LA County Department of Mental Health contract locations, and you provided psychotherapy to a diverse group of clients with a large range of mental health conditions. But this is the really interesting part I love folks to know about you, because prior to becoming a clinical psychologist, you worked for 16 years in family law and mediation, assisting individuals and couples through all aspects of the divorce process. So you are a dream come true for someone like me or the listeners on my podcast, because you have this extensive background in divorce, and now you're treating folks that have some of that trauma. Am I right on that?
Yes. Thank you for that. Yes, it's absolutely accurate. And it's so helpful having been on the other side of divorce, in the trenches with the attorneys and helping clients through cases. And that's actually partly what led me to want to become a psychologist, because I realized that was the part of my job that I loved the most, was supporting people when they were going through this horrendous process. The paperwork and the legal aspect of it is so technical and dry, and yet they're experiencing this incredible emotional upheaval, and just their whole life is being turned upside down during a divorce. And if it's high conflict, it's just so difficult. And so having support, I saw with my own eyes in that role is absolutely crucial. And I wanted to help in a different way.
Absolutely. So I just am so excited to have you on the show, because you have these two perspectives, and it is so hard, because it's kind of hard, and we'll get into this later, but to find really a therapist that truly sometimes understands a narcissistic abuse, but then to also have that perspective, like I said, and what you're going through with just the actual nuts and bolts of the legal system and the logistics of the divorce and whatnot is brilliant. So thank you so much for being here today. So let's launch in, if you don't mind, to talking about narcissism specifically, because you and I had this conversation, a little bit overused in society nowadays, and you're the expert now from a health, mental health perspective. What is your take on the word narcissism?
It's so interesting because I think just generally people can overuse it and kind of associate it just with being selfish or self-absorbed or overly focused on success, something like that. And those are all aspects of narcissism, but it's a lot deeper and more pervasive, and there are more features to it than that. So that's one thing I would say, that, and that's okay, because people are just saying, oh, he's a narcissist. There's a difference between being a narcissist, or is this difference between having narcissistic traits and actually meeting clinical criteria for narcissistic personality disorder. And what we're finding is that there's so many of these narcissistic traits that seem to be present in a lot of high conflict divorces, and also some, interpersonal relationships that are somewhat abusive. And it's very interesting how often you see these patterns. We can't diagnose anyone without actually seeing them in person, seeing if they meet criteria, with us actually speaking with them and observing it ourselves, right? Otherwise, you're just getting anecdotal information. You're just getting, secondhand information from other people. However, what has been so clear to me in my practice and my colleagues is these patterns that seem to be very, very common in high conflict divorces and in divorce in general. So that's where we've come to this sort of category of narcissistic abuse. And so this is what we're seeing a lot.
And so it is helpful to have a name to call it, and because if you've been through it or you're a professional in this arena, yes, we know what that means. We know it's code for, these are all the things you've had a, long journey of things that have happened to you that have been abusive, during this relationship. And so that's okay. It's okay, right, to have that label, but you're right though, because even in the divorce process, and I caution my clients against this, it's okay to say it to me. Obviously it's okay probably to say it with your mental health professional.
Oh yes.
Keep that though under wraps to yourself, and just focus on the patterns of behavior, like you said, because
exactly
at the end of the day, that's what's valuable information in the court system. And then that's probably what's valuable information as you're just treating.
Absolutely. And definitely, when I work with clients, I very much suspect that this person on the other side that is a narcissist or, meets criteria, but I can't know that for a fact.
Yeah.
And sometimes they can have other issues, other cluster B personality disorders. Sometimes they could be antisocial, they could be have borderline personality disorder, and also have these narcissistic overlays and also those diagnostic criteria overlap. So yes.
So I have a question, because I've had clients say to me, yes, my therapist didn't call him or her a nurse, but they handed me this piece of paper and said, look at this. And it had all these checklists. And I said, yes, my ex or all these. And then they just nod. So I'm assuming what they're saying is we suspect your partner falls in this category, but we're not going to diagnose them because they're not sitting here today.
Exactly. The Board of Psychology would have issue with us.
Yeah.
Rendering a clinical diagnosis, but we can say for certain that they have these patterns. It's a pervasive pattern of grandiosity, very boastful and pretentious. That's one of the criteria for narcissism. They believe they're so special that only special people can understand them. They can only interact with the best of the best, that type of thing. Always needing excessive admiration. The worst part is though that they're so manipulative and they lack empathy, and that is and so entitled. Everyone should just agree with them, go along with them, and those are the pieces that are just so damaging in a relationship, especially the lack of empathy and this manipulative, controlling piece.
And do you ever have clients that just a light bulb goes on and no one's ever told them that there are a group of people out there that have gone through this, and it is a thing? And what do you see as a clinician when people are realizing that they're not alone and that you understand what's going on?
Yes. And that is really the first stage and the most important part to a journey of healing from this is recognition, recognizing that this is a thing. This is a pattern that this person has, and it doesn't have anything to do with the other party. They are going to be this way no matter who they're with. There's such a feeling often that the other person somehow caused it, somehow is at fault. So narcissists are very good at playing the blame game and making the other party in the relationship feel like they're responsible for everything. They're, an awful person, etc. So it's so freeing when they find out, when they realize through clinical help, through these checklists, through the resources that you can find online, this is a thing. This is how this person is, regardless of how I am. They would then someone with these narcissistic traits, they would be that way with anyone.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's because it's about who they are. It doesn't matter who's on the other side.
Right.
It's just how they are.
Thank you so much for saying that, because I feel like that is also a double-edged sword. On one side, it's a relief, like, okay, it's you, not me. No,
Yes, yes.
but at the same time, you're like, I was in a relationship or a marriage with this person for so long, and it didn't matter who I was. And
Right, right. And it's, yeah, and that comes up a lot. Like, did this person ever love me? And that can get a little tricky because, again, from I don't know how deep this person on the other side is into their narcissistic patterns, if they're, if they meet full criteria of it.
sure.
But in general, with someone like this, you can say the person loved things about you. They loved the way you treated them. They loved your kindness. They loved they loved all of these things that they got from you.
Yeah.
But, did they really love you? Well, that goes to the question, are they capable
Yeah.
of real love? And someone who is extremely narcissistic, that not so much,
Yeah.
because they're all about themselves.
Yeah, it's a big question mark, right? If they're actually
Mm-hmm.
capable of it.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to terminology and part of the sort of the epiphany of, oh my gosh, this is what's been going on in my relationship for so long. There are a lot of terms that you'll learn once you start to really dive in and educate yourself on
Yes.
this whole situation. And so what are some of the most common terms around narcissistic abuse?
Yes. So there are many terms to describe the tactics that that narcissistic personalities use. And I've got to do a shout out to Dr. Ramani, because she really has been groundbreaking in cataloging and putting names to these tactics. And it's so helpful for clients. It's so helpful for people. I always encourage my clients, Google Dr. Ramani and look at her videos on YouTube and educate yourself. And it helps in my work too, because, they've already, sometimes I get texts from clients late at night saying, Dr. Sherry, thank you so much for sending me that video. It changed my life, because they realize that this is a thing that these people do, and they're not alone, and it's a tactic. So some of them, probably the most common and the most well-known, is gaslighting. And that is a tactic where they basically deny your reality. They say, for example, if you say, oh, I can't believe you said that to me, whatever it might be. I never said that. What are you talking about? You're crazy. The whole idea is to make you feel like you're not in control. You're not aware of your own reality. They're the ones that know what's real and what's not. And they're constantly making you feel off balance, walking on eggshells.
Right.
You can't trust yourself.
I also like to say it's lying taking to a level that, like you said, is to attempt you to question your own sanity.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
yes, that's a lie that, no, I didn't say that, but it's not about that. It's they will stick to their guns. They will claim you did do something, you didn't do something. And it's lying on a level, again, that messes with your head.
Exactly. It messes with your head. It absolutely does. And someone who's a very extreme narcissist, they believe their own press. I mean, it's almost like they're in a delusional place where they believe what they're saying and it's not true. So it's very, very damaging.
Absolutely.
Causing you to question.
A good point that you said, that they believe it, because that feeds into why there's can be so charming or believable.
Mm-hmm.
Because if somebody's telling you something they truly believe, even though it's a lie,
even though it's not true, but
they're going to be able to sell it a lot easier. Right?
Exactly. And you can beat yourself over the head trying to convince them, no, this isn't true. And they're not going to have it. They're not having it. Yeah.
So what are some, as a clinician, what are some of the effects that you are seeing on victims from this kind of abuse?
So many. Yeah. One of the worst, I think, is just this loss of self-esteem and self-confidence, and this loss of your sense of personal autonomy and personal power. And when you're in these relationships where someone is constantly making you doubt yourself, you also sort of, and you're also kind of expected to show fealty to them, always going along with them, always, pleasing them. And clients just feel like, I don't know what happened. I'm not the person that I used to be. And that's some of the damage. And then also there can be financial abuse, because they, especially in a divorce, they'll try to control the other person through finances. And also, I think it can leave people, I see this a lot, it's sort of a distorted sense of what love is, what is a healthy relationship.
Absolutely.
Not really being clear on that after going through this type of a funhouse mirror type of a relationship where you're not really seeing anything clear.
Funhouse mirror. I'm going to steal that. That's brilliant. That very much describes it. Everything's distorted as you're walking through.
Everything is distorted. Exactly. So there's a psychology called mirroring. And this is when our close attachment figures, our parents, caretakers, or whatever, they reflect back to us accurately what we're experiencing. Like if you're sad, or you're like, oh, you're sad, and it builds connection. And in a narcissistic relationship, it's like a funhouse mirror, right? You might be sad about something and they're like, what's wrong with you? You're it's always mocking, always demeaning, that sort of thing. And they will distort reality constantly. So you don't get a clear reflection back about who you are. You get a distorted back at yourself. And that's one of the things that adds to lost themselves. They don't know who they are anymore.
I see.
So
I see.
It's very damaging.
So speaking of the damage, what do you do how do people work with you? What do you do to help unwind this kind of abuse?
So the first step is really recognizing exactly what's happening to you, being able to, through therapy, through being, like you mentioned, the checklist, or talking about all of these different tactics, and being able to say, wow, yes, this person I've been in a relationship with has been doing all these things, and accepting that, and recognizing it. And that can be a little tricky at first, because, people often start out just really feeling like, hey, I don't know, there's something wrong with me, the problem. And so that what they need to understand first and foremost is that this is an abusive pattern that has been perpetrated on them. So recognizing that they're not crazy, they've been narcissistically abused.
Mm-hmm.
So we go through then a process of coming to understand that, and learning how to set boundaries and kind of take back your power. And also, really recognizing that you deserve a lot of compassion for yourself. Self-compassion is a big part of this,
right.
And self-care, and remembering who you were before the relationship. And because I hear this so often, wow, I don't know what happened to me. I used to be so, in charge of my life and feel so good about myself, remembering that. And you're still that person. You've just gone through this really hard time where you started questioning and doubting yourself and losing a sense of that, So, and then we also want to look at the past, back to childhood, and see what happened in your family, what happened in your earlier relationships that potentially set you up to be in a relationship with this type of a person. And
right.
and there's always, I always find a thread. I always find something. And that really helps also with the person, because another big piece to this is self-forgiveness.
Yeah.
Is because so often, the person who's been narcissistically abused, they'll blame themselves. And then when they realize, oh, okay, it's really the way this person is, and doing all these tactics that caused me to feel this way. But, oh my God, why did I stay so long? Why did I, they start, people start to really feel bad about that. Right. And so that's another process, because there's so many reasons that people stay. It is very hard to get out of, usually start by congratulating people for coming to therapy,
Yeah.
and really acknowledging the courage and, it takes to look at this stuff. So that's a big part of it. And then really it's about rediscovering yourself. And that's the
Mhm.
exciting part to me, like rediscover, getting free
I
from
agree.
the, and then, right, rediscovering what do you want to do with the rest of your life? Who do you want to, how do you want to walk through the world? Who do you want to be? How do you want to express? What do you want to do? Because there's so much life on the other side of that. There really is.
Absolutely.
There's so much life on the other side, so much good stuff available.
Absolutely. And you, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, you touched on so many things I'd love to comment on, but one, I mean, the forgiveness, yes. The why did I stay, and understanding there were mechanisms in place so you would stay.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. They're that is very purposeful. That is a big part of why there's the narcissistic type is so controlling and manipulative. They want to keep you. They want to keep you hooked in, and they've got all kinds of tactics
Right,
to
right.
do
And there's so many things that we do along the way, especially say for instance in a long-term marriage that you just sort of it's your husband or your
that.
wife and you didn't get
Exactly.
married expecting to divorce them, so you give a lot of leeway because you're like, well,
Ex-
maybe this is just marriage, maybe we have to try harder, maybe it is okay that I've never seen our tax return. I mean
right.
seriously, and I'm not laughing at it, it's a
Oh,
real, it's
yeah.
okay, it's
Yeah.
okay,
It's okay.
it was done on
Yes.
purpose to keep you in place.
Exactly. It was well said. It was done on purpose to keep you in place.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So all of it, the
Yes.
validation, and then beginning the healing process, looking back into your past. And then, as
Mhm.
you said, I think a lot of people are so fearful of going into the future. Like, how do I trust myself that I won't pick this person again? But
Mhm.
so those boundaries,
Yes.
which is an issue that comes up over and over, right?
Yes, boundaries are so important. That's an issue that comes up over and over again. Also, being mindful of red flags. We talk about that a lot. Looking back on, like what did he do? Was there anything when you first met this person that didn't sit well with you, but you overlooked? There always is.
Yeah.
Because we want to believe someone, we want to, but it's really important to look back at that. How did they treat other people, for example? Did you see them be, mean
Big
or
one.
or manipulative with others? uh, that's a big red flag because they're going to be that way with you eventually. They're showing you who they are. And
Right.
but a lot of people will be like, oh well, and they'll make excuses,
Right.
and
Right.
so looking back at that and then realizing, oh, okay, because I think, we are intuitive creatures and there's something inside, little alarm bells go off. And so learning how to honor that, honoring, the feelings that come up in our body. What is that telling us? And really paying attention to that.
Absolutely. Paying attention, trusting your gut.
Yes,
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 believing your body when it's trying to tell you something. And
yes.
going back even to terminology, the most often love bombing has been happening,
Oh,
which is giving
yes.
you all the excuses you need to overlook the bad behavior. So would you
Exactly.
talk to me a little bit about love bombing?
Yes, love bombing is a really a great a term, and what happens there is the narcissist they'll tell you everything you want to hear to get you to give them another chance to stay in their lives. They'll buy you gifts and be on their best behavior and act like, oh, I'm so sorry, and try to really like hook you back and pull you back in. They'll tell you exactly what you want to hear because they know they're looking at this very manipulatively, transactionally. She wants this, she wants that from me. I'm going to withhold that because but then they'll give it to you when they think it'll pull you back, when they think they can get you. So Dr. Robiny has another great term called hoovering. It's like a Hoover vacuum cleaner. They're trying to suck you back in, and they do it with all these different tactics. And another way is to make you feel bad about yourself. Saying,
Yeah.
oh, you'll never get anywhere without me. How are you ever going to support yourself? You need me. You can't do anything by yourself. That sort of a message,
Yep.
whether it's overt or nuanced, but that's kind of
Yeah.
the thing.
Chiseling
Yeah.
away at your self-confidence. Again, I mean,
That's
it's such
right.
a multifaceted approach to
Yes.
keep you in place. It's parasite. It's to so they can feed off you and suck all of those things,
Mm-hmm.
all those awesome qualities. Because, like you said, people go, I don't recognize myself anymore. I used
That's
to be
right.
X, Y, Z. I was great at this. I was outgoing at that,
Mm-hmm.
which is why you were picked.
Exactly, which is why you were picked. And
You're
so
awesome.
you're because you're awesome. And that's the message, right? That's the message. You're awesome. That's why they picked you. And they don't go for weak people. They go for strong people. Because
Isn't
only a
that
it
fascinating?
is fascinating. It is fascinating because that's one of the biggest misconceptions I find that women feel like, oh, I must be weak, or men, because sometimes there's definitely women
For
narcissists
sure.
out there. I've worked with many men who have been in narcissistically abusive relationships, so it happens on both sides. But yeah, there's definitely that is absolutely
Yes.
how it feels. So
If you
very
are, so I
damaging.
want everyone listening, if you are in a situation where you're just down and out and this has been so tough, I want you to look at yourself in the mirror today and say, I'm awesome. I am
Awesome.
super strong.
That's right.
I can do this. And because you, again, you were picked because of those reasons. So yes, you're awesome.
Yes, exactly. You're awesome. And also, what we see so much is it's the empathic people
Yeah.
that the narcissist is drawn to because they don't have empathy,
Right.
and they crave the warm and fuzzies that they get from empathic, loving, kind, compassionate people. I love all my clients. I mean, I love working with people that they're such great people that have
Yeah.
gone, they're preying on
Yeah.
all of the good qualities, and they see that, and it's like a target.
Right.
Right.
Eh,
And they also, really quick, just to say, this is I think an important piece. They also use that empathy and use that guilt against. They'll find that they tell you about their past, or their rough childhood, and of course, anyone hearing that's going to be like, oh, I'm so sorry, and they're going to feel bad for that person. And okay, sure, yes, that little child that had a bad childhood, they deserve your empathy. But the person before you right now might not deserve that, because
No.
they weaponize it. They
Yes.
weaponize their bad childhoods, or their sad stories, to try to elicit these feelings of compassion and love from the
Yeah.
other person, and then use it to get away with stuff.
Right.
So
They play into your qualities of being empathetic. And then I love the saying, your bad childhood is not an excuse to treat me poorly today.
yes,
You know,
exactly. It explains it. It's like, oh, okay, so that's why you've developed these ways. And what's interesting, though, Jackie, is there's still some. It's really important to remember, though, just because someone had this bad type of childhood doesn't mean they're going to grow up to be a narcissist,
such a
right?
good point. Yes.
Right. So it's like, yeah, but why did you go this direction? And there's probably reasons for that as well. But the
Sure.
bottom line is that, yes, it's tragic and heartbreaking that they went through whatever they went through, and that doesn't give them license to behave the way that they are, and they need consequences for that. So
Yeah.
you can still have empathy for this person and what they've been through, and also call the police when they're banging on your door at 2 a.m. because you left them and you don't want to have anything more to do with them.
Right.
Right, it's like,
Because
hey,
when you do start to get strong enough to put those boundaries in place,
yeah,
they are not happy.
that's right,
And it's
that's
it's
right.
there's going to be that initial battle because yeah, they realize that that's what you're doing, which is an act of defiance, which can be
Yeah.
triggering for them. But that is why it's so important to find a Dr. Sherry Martin to have in your life, because whether you're in it and you're trying to understand it and get out and have your support, and understanding, or afterward to heal and you have to find the right therapist, which brings me to my next question.
Sure.
Um, what questions would you ask, a therapist to make sure they have the right skills to treat you if you're out there looking for someone?
Yeah, that's a really great question. If anyone hearing this, if you're feeling like, wow, I connect with this. I feel that I am a survivor of this type of abuse. Ask the therapist, are you familiar with the term narcissistic abuse? And what experience have you had helping people recover? And see what the therapist has to say back about that. And I would also say, if you are going through a divorce and you want a support from a therapist going through a divorce, also ask, what experience have you had helping people through high conflict divorces? So, and this is where, and I really encourage people, if you're going through a divorce, please reach out and get support, get help somehow, whether it's a group or individual support. And if it's high conflict, they need you, Jackie Miller. They need you too, my friend. They need you too to help with all of these other aspects of it that really, don't get addressed in therapy.
Yeah. And thank you for bringing that up, because I do like to
Yeah.
reiterate to people, if they haven't heard before and they're still wondering, that question comes up a lot. Well, what's the difference? Am I going to you for emotional support? My best way to say your divorce coach consultant is all things divorce. So we're your secret weapon in the divorce. So we will help you find Dr. Sherry Martin, so you can get the therapy, and then help you with everything from strategy to communication to helping
Yes.
find an attorney to help you communicate with your attorney, to effectively communicating with your ex, to the custody issues. And yes, there is an emotional support component to that, because I'm there for you.
Right.
That makes you feel better, which is awesome, because that's my goal. But no, I'm not the therapist that's treating, the abuse in the healing that you need.
You're not saying, tell me about your mother or anything.
No, no. I'll listen if you want to tell me, but I can't.
Yeah, but
I'm not a therapist. I can't. And I stay in my lane.
I know you do.
But thank you so much, Sherry, for pointing that out. And then would you tell people what your website address is?
Yes. So please, if you're interested in learning anything more about me, if you're interested in reaching out about individual therapy, I also run with a partner of mine who's fantastic, Dr. Michelle Legvinsky. We partner and run some divorce support groups. So if you're interested in that, my website is sherrymartinphd.com, and you can email me at sherrymartin.com. And just to be clear, my name is Sherry, and it's Martyn. So
yes,
just
awesome.
So you have,
and I'm going to say that again, yes, because there's multiple ways to spell Sherry and multiple ways to spell Martin. So yes, so SherryMartynPhD.com.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes. So, and Sherry was saying, so she has some support groups. She might, if they're gathering, if they're open, if they have openings, she can help you. And you're doing some Zoom, correct?
Yes.
Openings? Okay.
Currently we have openings in our Friday group, which is Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. And that's all on Zoom. And we are considering, Michelle and I were considering starting a group specifically for recovering from narcissistic abuse. We see it so much in our divorce support groups. We've talked about doing a separate one. We haven't launched it yet or made, but if anyone's interested in that, I'll put you on our list. And when we sort it out, then we can get back to you and invite you. So,
awesome. And also Jackie at JackieMillerCoaching.com. You can also contact me and I can give you Sherry's information. But if Sherry's in California, but if you're not in California, please take the advice that she gave regarding just asking therapists if they have experience in treating narcissistic abuse, what luck they've had, what therapies, the modalities they use, because I think it's really important. What are some of the dangers of seeing a therapist who doesn't really get it? Why is it really important to find someone, in your opinion, that has experience in this arena?
Yes, because often they don't recognize that when the person has been so gaslit for so long, and if the therapist isn't really aware of this form of narcissistic abuse, they might think it truly is the client's issue. Are they in touch with reality? Are they? They might not. They might miss that. They might think they're exaggerating. It's hopefully that doesn't happen very often,
right?
But it can. So it's important to be clear
Yeah. Yeah.
with the
Because you're
potential
kind of,
therapist about what you're looking for.
I guess there's the potential to almost be re-traumatized because you have this mental health
Absolutely.
professional that's doubting you. And
Really? Are
that's,
you,
that's,
yeah, how do you, why do you think, yeah, yeah, uh-huh,
yeah.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
It could come off that way, which is really going to set the person even further back.
Sure, sure. So thank you so much for coming on SherryMartinPhD.com. Reach out to Sherry, and especially if you're in the California area, if she has any openings for support groups or for one-on-one treatment. And Sherry, one thing I like to ask most of my guests when they've been on, and you sort of touched on this earlier, but what does someone who's going through this very difficult process right now have to look forward to when they get to the other side?
Yes, yes. They have to look forward to freedom and being in control of your life again. Great opportunity at self-discovery and rediscovering yourself and redefining yourself. And I really believe that there's a possibility, an opportunity in any traumatic experience to grow from it and to learn from it and to use that for our growth. And that's really what I like to focus on in therapy. How can we use this for your growth and upliftment? What did you learn? How did this make you a better person? How can it through our
Mm-hmm.
work together?
Mm-hmm.
And what did you discover about yourself? And and I always like to remind people, if you can get through this, you can do anything. If you can get through this, and there's so many skills are utilized, when you're not only surviving in a narcissistic relationship. There, look at how strong you are. Look at what you went through. And so yeah, so
Yep.
really just rediscovery.
Because like we
Mhm.
said earlier, you were strong, you are strong.
Yes,
It's just been
you
pushed
still are. You're
down.
still that person.
And now
Yes,
you're
yes.
XXL strength. It's
That's
so,
right.
yeah, yeah,
That's
you just
right.
got to find it,
That's
and the
right.
mental space that opens up
That's right.
too. So you're going to be able to take that strength and use it for amazing things.
Oh my God, I've heard clients say, like, it's like the weight of the world is off my shoulders.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Well, thank you
So
again for that. Thank you, Dr. Sherry Martin, for being on the
thank
show. Your expertise is so valuable. And again, I just really appreciate it because your background's so unique and you truly understand individuals going through the divorce process in addition to trying to recover from the narcissistic abuse. So it's so valuable.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you
Jen.
so much, Sherry. We will talk soon. All right. Take care.
Sounds good. Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.